I would love to have done that. And in saying that, and it's sort of the same thing as what happened with me and you. You know, when I think of when you and I worked, Steve, that was the beauty of it, that the wrestling was going through this change, and they started liking the badasses, and you know, the guys like John Cena, they're starting to get tired of cheering for the same old sort of, you know, the guy that's number one baby face of the company kind of thing. It's like, you know what, we're not buying this guy, and we're gonna go against the grain. And it was a whole transition that's never been, you know, I don't think anyone could understand how hard it was. You never sometimes knew what you were going to happen. Go to certain towns, and no matter how bad you get, they cheer for you, and no matter how good you try to be, they boo you. You know, and that whole period, and how we sort of switch places, and sort of, I always tell people, you want to understand great working and great psychology and two wrestlers appreciating the circumstances, that what's happening in the business around them, and how to sort of, I think it's a really it was such a great time. I mean, I know we've talked a lot of times about that match, but I really think there was some great art being made that's never been. They'll never duplicate that art, that artistry that came from that time period. It was really, you know, it's amazing, because I know that in Survivor Series when we fought, you and I, we tried so hard to make that the greatest match of all time. Like, we really gave our all for that. So when it was over, it was like that. We did everything. We did everything we could think of, every move, every bang, I thought we took it to the edge. And then all of a sudden, the way I remember when we got worked at Wrestlemania 13, it was kind of last minute, and kind of like, okay, well, we'll just slap Bret Hart and Steve Austin together again. You know, they got kind of a building thing going, and it's like, yeah, but we just worked a month ago kind of thing. It's like, well, you're going to work again. And it's like, we're going to make it a no-holds-barred match. And, you know, I remember at the time thinking no-holds-barred, that takes out pinfalls. So that makes it even more boring and more harder. You know, we're not going to have the same, you know, and I remember thinking of the match I had with Bob Backlund, the I Quit match, which I thought was my only really disaster match I ever had. But anyway, so I don't think anyone ever realized, I know I didn't, that, you know, that would be such a great match. I think going into it, I thought it was going to be awful hard to come up. They had tried to duplicate what we had already done before.
Well, you know, when you're talking about that match and us going back together so soon, I just injured my knee. I was in San Antonio. I was off. It was about 2 or 3 weeks before WrestleMania 13, and I was at home watching Monday Night Raw when Vince made the announcement that in a submission match in the semi-main would be Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret the Hitman Hart. I was watching TV. I am in the match. I just found out about it. The submission match totally pissed me off because, you know, I didn't have a whole arsenal of offensive moves anyway, and I damn sure didn't have any submission moves, maybe one. So I was petrified and mortified and pissed off. You know, of course, I hadn't been in the company really long enough for them to consult me or ask if it was okay if they booked me in a match, but I was hotter than a sumbitch. And I don't want to talk